United States, we have an expression. When you wish somebody good luck before a performance, you say, break a leg. I don't think I will ever again say, break a leg for, good luck. I took the fall this morning, so thanks to Carlos for being the most calm person in the universe. Okay, so I'm going to talk about social inclusion, which occurs to me that inclusion sounds like bringing together. But I don't think about it like that. I think about it as opening your own borders. We all have nervousness. We all are uncomfortable with people from a different tribe, from a different, anything different from us. So I'm going to talk today about some things we're doing to help people open their borders. Yesterday, this is Pedro Porto. Yesterday, at the same time, this is still winter in Washington, D.C. We have a beautiful video about what happened yesterday.
I think they're actually outside. Yes, that's okay.
Yeah. Can you find
Hello? Hola. Saludos a los chamaquitos. Cristian Castillo dice que él espera que todas las culturas se unan. ¿Qué le parece a ustedes? Bien. Ok, pero díganme un sueño de ustedes.
Que nos amemos unos a los otros.
¿Cuál fue su mensaje?
Cuidar el ambiente, cuidar nuestro planeta.
Lléveme suave. Chiva.
Ciao. ¿Es any transformation? Yes. En realidad, porque hay solo dale, plátano, para ella, it was a happy boy, he was healthy.
La mamá le pregunta al niño por el billete y el niño le dice...
Una cosa que se hace con un marino, lo mismo.
Esto para video. Muy close up.
En la escuela, mira, yo la cogí, yo se la digo ahora que llegaba.
Okay, you can see in Washington we had no wind. They couldn't get anything to flap, but they were trying, and they were so excited. You could see the kids jumping around on the Skype. All right, these weren't the only kids in the world who were flying kites yesterday, March 21st, the equinox. These were only a few of approximately 25,000 kids all over the world. in a project that comes from the International Education and Resource Network called IEARN, which started several years before the web was even created. Back when the Cold War existed between Russia and the United States. And one man in the United States said, gosh, with these messages that we can send over the internet, not the web didn't exist, we can talk to people in Russia under the radar of our governments, and maybe we can have peace that way. So he started IEARN, and it's gone on to 130 countries. We now, in Dominican Republic, have a contact who's with us tonight. He's in the front row, Abel Duarte, who's spent 3.5 hours coming over to be here tonight. All right, so that's enough of the shout-outs. I want to tell you, this project started, like Plan International started, it started for children's rights. It came out of Israel from some people who really cared. IEARN Israel really cared about a man in Poland who advocated for children's rights clear back in the 1880s, 1890s, 1900s. Nobody thought about children as having any rights then. And he had a way of thinking, which was every child has the right to have a cradle. Every child, every girl has the right to have a doll. But when times are very difficult, let the wind give them a kite. So that was the inspiration for this project. I come out of storytelling, professional storytelling. I've been a journalist, I've been an editor, I've done, this has been my life, storytelling. The traditional story involves a transformation. So you're walking along the street and something happens. Once upon a time, the wolf wanted to eat Little Red Riding Hood. Okay, so you're walking along, something changes, and then you have the struggle. And the struggle goes down, and there's a turning point. And then it looks like you're going to succeed, and then, boom, the rug gets pulled out from under you. And then, whoa, bad problems, turning point, and the resolution. And in all that, there's a transformation. I had a transformation by chance when I was 8 years old. My one grandmother died suddenly from a heart attack. And she died suddenly at the same time that my other grandmother found out she was going to die in a few more months from cancer. And my parents were so devastated that they decided to run away and go to where it was warm. We're from Wyoming. I'm from a small town in Wyoming. I'm a campesino. They kept telling me yesterday, Cathy, you're a campesino. And I am. And I go back all the time. And in fact, we have a family ranch, so I really am a campesino. Okay, so we went to Mexico. I was knocked out. I had no idea because where I lived, the Mexicans worked in the fields. They didn't speak any English, they were very poor, they were treated very badly. There was terrible, terrible prejudice about the Mexicans. The Mexicans' children did not go to the same school that the white children went to, or the Japanese children went to. It was just the Mexican children were on the other side of the railroad tracks. All right, I went back because I saw there were many Mexicans. There were poor Mexicans, rich Mexicans, well-educated Mexicans, beautiful things that they created, including the Aztec pyramids, which I climbed. I never again had the same prejudice because I had a personal experience. So the question becomes, and the question for me, even when I was that young, was, how do you give other people this experience? Because not everybody gets to travel. I was the only kid I knew that went out of the country with their parents. Most kids never even got to Denver, Colorado, 500 miles away. Okay, so from my philosophy from that transformation is everyone, it doesn't matter who you are, whether you're rich or poor, or whether you're from the US or the Dominican Republic or Congo or wherever in the world you're from, you need in this world to become comfortable with people who have different points of view, have different life experiences. It's critical. So how do we do it? All right, you saw that we had the Skype and a project that we did together. These same children from the 6th grade in Cesar Chavez Prep Middle School had a previous experience with Skype. They already knew Carlos. Carlos talked to them about Fukushima because the children were studying pollution and pollution that crosses borders. And then they ended this theme with nuclear pollution. And so we brought people to the children who had experienced nuclear pollution. So we have Carlos, who's been to Fukushima several times, and we have my mentor from National Geographic, Mike Edwards, who was sent by Geographic magazine to cover Chernobyl twice. So he had been to Chernobyl several times. And he showed pictures from the magazine, talked about it. And you think, well, did this make any difference? Well, look at the children. They were like this, 4 different classes. Mike taught 2 classes. Carlos taught for 2 classes. This is how the children were every single class. They were engaged, they were listening. In the reflections, you could see they understood. But there was more transformation. Mike Edwards said to me, I have never been in a DC public school. I've read about them, but I've never been in one. And the thing about DC public schools is they have a terrible reputation. They spend more money per pupil than any other city in the United States, and they have the worst test scores. So it's been an ongoing scandal for many years. Mike told me he thought he would find chaos. And what he found were children that were in order, that were they were learning, they were asking intelligent questions, and they treated him with beautiful respect. And he went out and started talking to people, because I saw him the next day at the retirees luncheon. He said, you can't believe these kids. So we had a double transformation. Okay, so one of the things that got me started at Chavez Prep was we decided we would try digital storytelling, where you come up with a story, it's short, it's 200 words long, 3-minute video. Then you do the narration, you record it, then you add images, then you add music. So, that picture of the kids jumping around, that's kind of a fake picture. They were really having a good time that day. But they felt like this digital storytelling was like homework, it was like schoolwork, it was hard work. They didn't like having to write the story, blah, blah. I was so shocked. I thought kids were supposed to think video making was like candy. So let me show you some of the things that happened out of all of this. Okay, so these kids live in a neighborhood that's being gentrified. That means rich people are coming in, it's getting very chic, and the poor people are having to move out. So here's Danny Cruz's version on what is gentrification.
In the beginning, I didn't know what gentrification was. I lived down Southeast because I had aunts and uncles and also cousins living in Southeast. My mom said we were moving and it was because my school was up in Northwest and she liked how Northwest was starting to change at the time. It didn't matter to me if we moved or not because I knew I'd always visit my family once in a while. When we moved, I had to get better comfortable in my surroundings. I started to meet more friends and I had to go to a new school because I graduated into middle school. I met more friends, everyone was just more kinder up here, and soon a bunch of stores opened up. I could just walk 2 blocks and have stores like Best Buy and Target right in front of me. I think that moving to Northwest was a big difference, and I went through so many changes that only I know about, and I also don't forget about visiting my cousins. Now I know what gentrification is and
they were hoping he wouldn't go to. So he said, well, maybe this was kind of a failure. But Danny was asked to send this video to a competition for Next Vista Learning, which I heard about because of it being the man who heads it being very active in iron. Everything kind of loops back to iron. And somewhere, Danny has been transformed. Now, I don't know how it's going to play out. I don't know what else is going to happen with the other kids in there. But I can tell you there are all kinds of new transformations. This is a transformation. But even more transformation is my transformation. Because the other teachers and I have been thinking, this digital storytelling, the kids keep kind of complaining about it. And in the bus, in the Planned International bus yesterday, driving out to Pedro Porco, Celestino was telling about the workshops he's going to do for children here in the Dominican Republic. He isn't a writer. Doesn't mean he can't write. But he doesn't come at it, he comes at it visually, not words on paper. And he has figured out how to make digital storytelling magic. How to lead the children into learning some basic techniques and having fun, and then know how to go into this kind of state where you're editing and listening to music and cutting and transitioning that takes you away, and that you create something that can tell your story elsewhere. So I have a dream, as we say, that somehow we get Celestino up to Chavez Prep to be teaching the teachers and the students his system, which I think is much better than our system, and that we continue with the kids down here, that the kids down here continue not just with our school in DC, but schools, why not Israel? Why not Israeli Jewish schools, Israeli Arab schools, Israeli Christian schools? Why not Iran? Iran is very active in iron, if you can imagine. Bahrain. Why not Bahrain? Why not Kuwait? Why not Taiwan? Why not China? Why not Japan? We want our kids to get comfortable, but we want ourselves to get comfortable. That's how you become more inclusive, is you become inclusive. Thank you.